Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing alright out there. So the other day this short appeared just randomly in my recommended and I watched it and I was like, what? It's very, very much against every single thing I've ever known about motorcycle helmets and about why you do and don't do certain things with them. The long and the short of the short was that they were suggesting that if you drop your motorcycle helmet, that it is a myth that you need to replace it.
The biggest motorcycle helmet myth is if you drop your motorcycle helmet, then you should throw it in the garbage because it becomes just as useless as a jigsaw squid. But the truth is, a lot of people get this wrong. The worst that could happen is you can mess up your face shield or you'll end up with some scratches on your helmet, which is kind of inevitable if you're riding enough.
Now, if you drop it from 2 inches, then yeah, you know, it's probably going to be fine. You drop it from knee height on grass, maybe it'll be fine. Maybe even drop it on concrete that height, maybe it'll be fine. But there is going to be a height where it's not fine. There is going to be a scenario and a way that it lands that it will not be fine and it will crack the shell or will do some damage to that helmet which will reduce its ability to save a person's life.
See, the simple fact is your head wasn't in the helmet when it dropped. It's like an empty skull of a jigsaw rider's head. The EPS liner inside didn't get affected at all. And if you're the type of person who buys a new helmet after you just drop it from like 3 feet, then you must not like money.
It seems like extremely bad advice to be giving out to people. But I don't know if there's something I've missed here. You know, there's a lot of things that are believed to be the truth, but then turn out to not be that true. So I'm going to put it to you people. Tell me, what's your thoughts on this? Do you think a dropped helmet is fine? Now, a lot of you are going to say, oh, well, you see, I dropped my helmet and it's absolutely fine. Did you crash in it? Did you find out if it was absolutely fine or not? You know?
And honestly, even in some crashes, your motorcycle helmet may still be good. I would say it would vary if your head actually took some impact. I've seen motorcycle racers at the highest level crash and even take some impact to the helmet, then they get up and ride again.
There's also a lot of people in the comments of this short who are obviously loving the idea that they don't need to replace their helmet after they've dropped it. So they're like, oh, thank God that you demystified this mystery of lies. The whole thing is all made up by the companies to, you know, replace helmets as soon as you wear them. Soon it'll be a one-time use helmet. Obviously, I'm going a bit far with this, but I just was really shocked to see someone with such confidence and with a couple of 100,000 subscribers saying something which was entirely against the status quo and the knowns when it comes to helmets. I mean, there's companies out there that you send your helmet to check them. Bum bum bum. I'm doing this because they always copyright claim when you use this, by the way. Now, normally you wouldn't bother doing that with a cheap helmet, you know, a couple of £100 helmet, because it's going to cost more than that to have it checked. But if you've got some £1,000 carbon fibre lid, you would have that sent off to be checked. See, the problem here is when you make extraordinary claims that go against everything that everyone's ever really known and believed, you have to bring forward extraordinary evidence. Now, I have asked this dude in the comments, like, what is this based off? Like, where did you get this information? And there was another thing that just highlighted to me that I'm not entirely sure if they know what they're talking about. Apologies if you do. But EPS, the foam inside your helmet, it starts out relatively soft, and over time it will harden up, and that's one of the ways that you know your helmet is too old, because it's gone hard.
Now, if you're too broke to buy a new motorcycle helmet after an accident, you can check the EPS liner. If possible, remove the inner liner and check for any cracks and feel for firmness. If this foam layer is squishy, replace it. If you can rub it and you see some soot on your fingers, replace it. If it's over 5 years old, replace it.
But he said, if the EPS goes squidgy. I've never ever heard of an EPS going squidgy. They only go hard. It's polystyrene. Polystyrene goes hard over time. So this is what I mean. You've got this short itself, which is giving out some information I'm really very uneasy about, and I don't think is true at all. That is my opinion on it. And I think it's incredibly irresponsible to go and put that information out there and say that for someone to then follow what you say. Because the problem is, even if you do only mean it as a small drop, they just hear drop. That is a problem, because, you know, the structural shell of a helmet is where its strength is. If it is cracked, it will just smash on that and you will not get the same effect. There is a lot in there about helmet safety which terrified me and is completely against everything that I've ever known. So either this dude knows way more than the rest of us, in which case I'd love to see some evidence as to proving why you're saying what you're saying, or you've put information out there by choice which is factually wrong and really dangerous. I can't imagine you do the latter, but I can't imagine that everything that anyone's ever known and what makes sense, you know, with helmets can also be wrong. People don't watch whole videos. They only watch the beginnings of them. And in the beginning of that video, you told me that if I drop my helmet on the floor and it gets cracked, it's fine. You're saying that's okay to wear and use. Someone else's life. Where did you get that information from? How can you be so confident as to say what you've just said? Or are you not realising that you do actually have somewhat of a responsibility for the information that you put out there? You know, in the early days of vlogging, when I started like 11 years ago, people told me, oh, I was a role model for people and I had to show a better example. And I said, screw that. It's not my choice to make out what other people do. And I agree with that still. I don't think anyone should do what I do. I don't tell anyone to do what I do. And if I am explaining a way to do something, I make sure I'm right with my information and I will offer up some backup with that if asked. Because I don't say anything unless I know that I know what I'm talking about. Which is why I'm being so open to the idea that I could be wrong here. I don't really feel like I'm wrong. It doesn't make any sense to me that this would be wrong. But because I am aware that the person who knows the least is the one who thinks they knows the most, I remain open to being corrected. The problem is there's so many ways to interpret what's been said here. A drop, as I say, could be a very small thing or it could be a very big thing. And that's the problem. People take a little piece of information way, way, way too far and put themselves in risk and get hurt, and all sorts of things can happen. So as I say, the link to the short is in the description. Give me your thoughts in the comments. And to the dude that made it, as I say, I'm not trying to start an argument or a war with you here. You made a claim. I'm questioning that claim. If it turns out you're correct, thank you for teaching me a lesson. I didn't know that. But I cannot see that being true. I just cannot. It doesn't make any sense. Because it's too broad a statement that, oh, if you drop your helmet, it's fine. But then again, he's probably trying to answer the statement, which is if you drop your helmet, you must replace it 100%. And that also isn't true. It's all to do with the details of how it was dropped. This is one of the reasons I don't like shorts, okay, because you cannot get enough information in them to actually give good information. Anyway, as I say, let me know what you think. Catch you on the next one.